Okay, guys, BP News here. We have a live breaking news alert, and it is pretty, take it for what it's worth, but everybody's evacuating out of Iran. Lots of footage coming out, lots of protesting, lots of death. There's a lot of video coming out, even in spite of the fact that the government has shut down communications, internet, all internet access. The only thing that really kind of works is landline phones, but cell phones, internet, everything is shut off. People are dying en masse, and it does look like the U.S. is getting ready to do some kind of imminent intervention. The Iranian government had a video out that I posted that for some reason it wouldn't accept it on YouTube. I don't know why, but it showed them sitting down with consulate heads of consulates inside of Iran with a movie theater-like presentation of protesters that were armed and that were attacking government, police officials, police, which what I guess would be considered to be their government, a part of their government. And so they are justifying harsh measures. And then they likened it to what was happening in Minnesota and how Trump said that the protesters were vicious and they deserved what they got. And they're trying to equate their response to their population in an equal way. They had the UK, they had a number of different Western consulate heads of consulates there in Tehran come to this presentation. So this video presentation was showing what the protesters are doing and how they're using weapons, they're using guns. And now we're hearing that the government is cracking down so hard that they're not only just shooting protesters, but they're using military equipment. And they're not just using tear gas, they're using something far worse that's hurting people very badly. So it's not just regular tear gas. Not exactly sure what it is, but we're looking at these reports right now and how imminent is this expected attack by U.S. Military? Is it going to be something similar to what happened with Venezuela, or is it going to be something more? Especially in light of the fact that they've been threatening an attack on military installations, not to mention Israel, and that they will also hit with their hypersonic missiles one of our, warships. That's pretty serious. So Trump is now saying that if they ever did that, he responded on Air Force One, if Iran had the boldness to attack one of our military ships, out there in the Persian Gulf, or one of our bases, that they would be hit so hard that we would hit them. So, and who knows what that means, right? What does that mean? That we're going to just send a nuke? Nobody knows what to think. So this is, this is something that Trump does very effectively. Is he's got people really petrified, including the Iranian government. Now, they had tried to initiate some kind of meeting with Witkoff, but from what it looks like, they've already gone too far, is what the White House is saying. They've gone a little bit too far. They've already killed a bunch of people. It's too late. Now we got to go in and intervene, right? This is the excuse, I guess, for us to go in. Not to mention the fact that they're already threatening an attack. Israel really wants to facilitate this attack. Were they really involved in destabilizing their government and their population? Because really, once you start the ball rolling, you have that effect of, well, this is the way things are going to go. Maybe we should all just jump on board because we don't want to be on the other side if it's going to lose. So people do have that tendency to kind of want to be on the winning team, and yeah, okay, you're the strongest one. All right, hooray, wave the flag and thank you for liberating us. So they're not really, I don't think it's a wholehearted. This has been a buildup of protests. Now the protests are ongoing and they're building momentum, right? Supposedly. So there's video coming out. Now there's channels that are on YouTube that are saying that these protests are fake or that they're footage from the Soleimani assassination funeral, when the funeral took place, that some of these are just dubbed over to make it look like these are huge crowds. That 2C TV guy, he said that these are fake, that one of the clips shows a kid that's got short sleeve shirts or a short sleeve shirt on that in no way could be happening right now because it's very cold in Iran. So not exactly sure what to believe on that, but anything can be fabricated now with AI. We don't really know if this is legit video that we're seeing or not. I mean, this could very well be a major, AI psyop, if you want to call it AI can do anything now. You know that, right? There's so much AI can do now, especially the AI that we don't personally as the populace have access to. You know that the government has everything that's way better than what we got. They can make everything look, I even think that they use AI for Trump at certain points. There's a couple of speeches that I've seen Trump do recently that I thought, this doesn't look like Trump. It looks too good. He looks too, because normally when you see him, he doesn't look like that. But, when I've seen these AI versions, which I think are AI versions, like I said, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell with all the new stuff they have access to. They're letting us play around with a lot of other stuff, but they're just, and I've done a lot of research on this, and I think I know kind of where this is all going. But how many of you guys out there got the alert? I sent out a text alert. So I did send out some text alerts. You got the text alert? I also sent out the push notifications. If you are on the app, make sure you get connected to the app. The app is the way you're going to be alerted when we do go live. So anytime major breaking news happens, we're just preempting this or kind of doing a little predictive, alert here because we know that there's a lot of talk right now about something about to go down. So we just wanted to get ahead and let you guys know that this is all hitting the fan. Whether or not it's going to be within hours or within days, I think it is going to be within days, but could it be within hours? That's a really good possibility. But we'll see. There's a lot of assets that have already been flown out there into the area, and they're just staging right now in preparation for whatever they're going to do. I know that they've already had pre-preps on this and that they've already probably war gamed this all out, and they already know exactly what they're going to do. And if they're going to have some kind of a limited, special op type surgical invasion with boots on the ground going after certain people, there's a good possibility that could happen as well. We could be seeing that go down just like what happened in Venezuela. I think Venezuela is also due for another surgical type strike. I think they've already threatened on that front, and our ships are still down there. I think we're still embargoing the whole Venezuelan theater there. So anything could happen, and I wouldn't be surprised if Trump just did something really crazy, like let's just do it at both of them at the same time to show what we can do. Who knows? Maybe he's going to do Venezuela and Iran at the same time. All I know is that Iran has threatened the U.S. interest both in South America, here at home, and also abroad in our military installations. They've already threatened to hit us from the Amazon forest, supposedly. They've got bases in the Amazon forest. This is the Iranians saying this. And that they've got these missiles that they could hit anything of our interest in South America. And they said this, one of the generals, I think, said this, to show that, because you're in our backyard and making us uncomfortable, we're going to do the same thing to you. And that also implies that sleeper cells could also be inside of the U.S., and they may be doing something on that front as well. If they know they're going down, and I think that Trump has tried to give them the illusion, first speaking very harshly, now kind of, making it seem a little bit like maybe there's a possibility that there could be some negotiation. He did the same thing with them in the first round. They don't believe that. That's how they got decapitated. They trusted, and they opened up, and they let down their guard, and that's when they got their whole military and their high-level government was taken out. So they're not going to do that again. And they know that this very well could be a ploy to take them down. They know that America wants them out, that they don't want the regime there anymore, that this regime, or as you would call it, the regime, the government of Iran, is not wanted by the West. And so they know that they're going to do everything, the Americans are going to do everything they can to get them out. So there has been talk that Ayatollah has talked, this is coming, and we'll go through the sources on this. I'm going to show you guys the sources on this. And let's go ahead and look at some of that really quickly. And by the way, thank you guys for helping us out to get those text alerts out. They do cost us a little bit of cash. We got to spend a little cash to get the text alerts out. We want to start expanding those text alerts. How many of you guys got the text alerts? Let me go back here really quickly and look. Some of you guys did. Okay, you got say 1 if you got the text alert. Type 2 if you got the push notification. And we're expanding that. There's probably more than 1,000 people already on it. The more that we put this out, since we knew this was all coming, we knew all these big events were about to hit the fan. That's why we made the app. We developed the app. We just went out on a limb and got that thing running, because we know that YouTube doesn't always alert you, even if you do the notification, and they don't always alert you in real time. This app is going to alert you in real time when we go live, and I will send a direct message to you if it's a major news event. If it's just the regular round of news that is truly crazy news cycles, we still are going to just regularly alert you, and we'll alert you through all of our channels and our whole network. But the text alerts will be only on major events, because those do cost us money. But we do thank you guys for helping us to get that app out, as well as the text alerts. This is going to be your go-to place for getting the information before it really does hit the fan. We're going to try to give you guys a heads up, as we always have in the past, whether it was COVID, whether it was a number of other events that anybody that has followed my channel for any length of time knows that we cover all the major big events that are happening in the world, not to mention everything that has to do with elections or whatever. So that's kind of what we want to focus on, making sure that we're ahead of, and we really need the time to keep that focus. So thank you for helping us. But anyway, getting back over here to our Telegram channel, and all of our links are there too, so you know how to connect to us if you're new to the channel. And I know there's a lot of new people coming. That's why I'm trying to tell everybody, giving them that recap. So there's the recap for you. Let's go ahead and check out. Well, actually, it wasn't Telegram I wanted to look at. I'm looking at Twitter here really quick. Let's go over to Twitter really fast. And we're on Twitter with some of the interesting alerts here coming off of Twitter. Why is this not happening here? Okay, let's just. And this is the Fatux network, and I think that they are an Islamic outlet, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if they are Islamic. I think they might be out of Iran. Okay, I'm not sure where they're from, but it does sound kind of foreign. But they've been on top of a lot of these alerts, and we kind of watch a bunch of different sources here. So we're definitely bringing this all together for you guys. And there's also indications from the pizza monitors, the network that monitors the pizza places inside of DC. You know what that is all about, don't you? I want to show you guys that. That's pretty interesting, because it's pretty accurate. And a lot of people say, oh, that's kind of funny and it's a joke side and it's kind of humorous, but no, it's really actually some intel. It does give out intel, and it's been actually pretty accurate. Whenever a big event happens, all of the bigwigs that are over there in D.C. and they're monitoring the Situation Room or whatever's going on in the Pentagon, they're going to all go out and get pizza. And they don't go out, and there's some other funny things that they also monitor. I'm going to show you in a minute. But look at what they're saying here. Let's just kind of go through some of these things. Trump told NBC News when asked, let's see if I can show you. Here it is right here. When asked about U.S. response to Iran, it could happen. So he's kind of giving that kind of feel like, well, because he's been really upfront and harsh and direct, saying that it's going to happen. Then he kind of pulls back. He's always giving that illusion of, well, maybe we can work this out. Maybe now at certain points he's very, very direct and very harsh and making it seem like it's imminent, but then he pulls back. I think that when he pulls back and kind of gives that illusion that everything's kind of just waiting in the wings to see what's happening, that's the time you want to be kind of really on the alert. Now, all kinds of countries now, there's a whole list of countries that have stopped flights as of today and telling their citizens to get out of Iran immediately. The list is there. A lot of countries now telling all of their citizens to evacuate ASAP out of Iran. It's too dangerous. People are being killed. Protests are increasing. Everything is being destabilized. And this is also in preparation for bombs falling or who knows what. The Americans coming in. So here's what it says here. CBS reports a senior Iranian official was reached out to the U.S. yesterday. This was yesterday. This was an hour ago, saying that they wanted to speak with Steve Witkoff and that Iran is willing to speak to him. But from what I heard about that response is that it's too late. Which you know that's what the U.S. is, because they've got them on the ropes. You think they're going to let them off? You think they're going to really negotiate? And this might be Iran's little, 3D chess move. Maybe they're pretending. Maybe they're trying to bide some time. Maybe they know that their end is nigh. Maybe they want to go out with a blaze of glory. They've already threatened American interests. They've already threatened to attack bases. They've also threatened, sleeper type stuff. So that's kind of something that people are really worried about too, inside of America. So Trump was briefed late Monday for a wide array of military options for Iran, as well as cyber and psychological operations or options. So cyber, psychological or psyops. Mike Pompeo had said a week ago, encouraging the protesters as well as our CIA. So that was an admission that we're already in there. And he made it seem as if the protesters were actually CIA. So that kind of gives credence to the fact that we are trying to overthrow through protests and discontent. We're aiding and abetting the Iranian people to get up and do something and try to make a change, right? So is this really good? Is this kind of like the Arab Spring of Obama when we overthrew Libya, when we overthrew Iraq and Afghanistan, and what else did we overthrow? Egypt. Remember, Egypt went into chaos for a long time. They blamed Obama for that too. But is that going to be what we're going to see? Is a bunch of chaos that results? Afghanistan. I mean, look at the mess. Syria. Look what's going on right now. I mean, the whole Middle East has been completely destabilized. Now, if that's kind of a good thing, maybe they're saying that's what they want because, chaos, order out of chaos, and maybe it's our order that we want, and we're trying to bring chaos to bring about our order. Does that work? Have we figured that one out yet? Or is the world more dangerous, and are we more on the precipice of sudden destruction? Senior Western official says that Iranian authorities initially appeared reluctant to use lethal force, but changed course once the protests began threatening the regime. This is Washington Post. So, once it got to the point where now the threat of the government collapsing was in view, they started, shooting people. They started killing people. And from what we can tell, and some of the video that I've seen, there is a lot of people dead. Lots of body bags. Not good. And this is an interesting post here. It says here that this one here was a witness that was there. It's in Iran, and that was getting out information. They said, now you got to take this for what it's worth, because really we don't know who really said this. It could have been just, for all we know, AI could have made it up. You just give it a story plot and it'll make it sound real. But this is what supposedly a witness said out of Iran. And this is from Mashhad area. I guess that's a city that was shared through Starlink. And that's the only thing that works right now is Starlink. And they've probably, from what I've heard too, is that they've jammed Starlink, so a lot of people still can't get things out because Starlink has been jammed. So if it's been jammed, I don't know how this got out. But from what I'm hearing, Iran is now slowly allowing the internet to come back online. So I don't know if that's legit. I've also been hearing that it's still offline. So I don't know if they're trying to make it seem like they're being open or what. We just don't know. There's so many different messages that are coming out that seem to contradict. But here it is. And this is the fog of war, maybe. This is the deception that ultimately happens when you're in the midst of a war too. You don't really, aren't really telling the truth on what's really happening. But it goes on to say, hello, please make our voices heard however you can. They say that the night before last, near Shayad Shiranzi in Mashhad, people saw tanks and they killed many. A friend of my brother was killed coming out from the gym on Thursday in Qisamadad, Mashhad. His name was Mohammed Sharif. I'm saying his name so he isn't forgotten. Because it took 3 days for his family to be notified to collect his body. In Tehran, they are killing a lot, and it isn't with normal bullets. Everything they use is war equipment. It says at night, the SIM card on the phones stop working entirely. So I guess they're only doing it at night. And you can't even call 110, which is like our 911, I guess our emergency services with a mobile phone. There is absolutely no way to call emergency services. In some places, only landlines work for making calls. Apps like ITA, Bail, and Shad, I guess that's their Twitters and their Facebooks, whatever they got there. Nothing works for messaging. Apparent comments are closed. Every site where you could talk in the comments is closed. I came to a relative's house and saw some middle school aged kids saying 3 of their friends had died. So that would be like 13, 14-year-old, 12, 13-year-olds. An acquaintance at the medical examiner's office told me that half of the people they bring in are under 18. And that's usually the kids. They're the ones that go out and protest a lot of times. It's usually the kids. Some of them aren't even teenagers. 3 of the children are children in the true sense of the word. Whoever you call, one of their loved ones has been killed. They are moving bodies in Karidzak with pickup trucks. They don't hand over bodies. The family of my brother's friend said that they had to pay 700 million tomans, which I did a little search on that. That's about $700 US, $700 US, just to get his body. So they're not really giving up the bodies, supposedly. And then it says here, they take the detainees to cities other than Mashhad so that they can put them under intense pressure, probably torture, and ensure nobody can find them. They are killing with rifles and machine guns. Even their tear gas is different from what they used in 2022. Please share these without mentioning my name. Please be our voice. And then Trump also announced 25% tariffs on any country that is doing business with Iran. He said effectively, immediately, any country doing business with Iran will pay 25% tariffs on top of what they're probably already paying. And this order is final and conclusive, right? And then we have this trade government site here that is giving out warnings. They have almost 700,000 followers. 3 hours ago, Iran protests across Iran are escalating. Increased security measures, road closures, public transportation disruptions, and internet blockages are ongoing. Airlines continue to limit or cancel flights to and from Iran, with several suspending services until Friday, January 16th. So people aren't going to get out. And if you're a U.S. citizen there, you're probably going to be taken hostage if they can find you. Citizens should expect continued internet outages, plan alternative means of communication, and if safe to do so, consider departing Iran by land to Armenia or Turkey. So you're going to have to walk it. You're going to have to get out. U.S. Iranian dual nationals must exit Iran on Iranian passports. The Iranian government does not recognize dual nationality and will treat U.S. Iranian dual nationals solely as Iranian citizens. U.S. nationals are at significant risk of questioning, arrest, and detention in Iran. Showing a U.S. passport or demonstrating connections to the United States can be reason enough for Iranian authorities to detain someone. Not good. Now, if anything happens where this government feels that they're losing power, and I said this was the threat that we could be facing here, and that the real possibility of, Pandora's box being opened by the Iranians, which I think is very possible, considering that they are a very significant player in the last day scenario. And I do believe we are in the last days. These wars that we're watching and everything that's going on is lining up with prophetic scripture. And I've talked a lot about that extensively on my channel. If you're not familiar with my channel, you might not know that, but we've chronicled the parallels that are accompanying this administration, Trump's rollout of technology, going all the way back to even the COVID jab, and how, Trump kind of seems to fit in to what's happening in that last day scenario. Not to mention what's going on in the Middle East with Israel, with what's happened in Gaza, and all the different nations that are involved in these different regional wars, and how these things seem to be coming to a head. And everything seems to be shifting right now, especially with the global economy. This is also something we should be looking at and how it's connected to biblical prophecy. So a lot's going on with our economy. The U.S. dollar obviously is the foundation for the world reserve currency, and we've always regulated global trade as the most powerful nation. But there's a lot changing right now, and I think that we're being challenged by the BRICS. We're being challenged by Russia and China, as well as a host of other countries that would like to see our intimidative tactics that we use the dollar and weaponizing it to try to gain our influence or exceptional influence all over the world would go away. That's what is a lot of countries are hoping, that we're going to somehow be neutralized, and maybe we are a waning empire. A lot of people wonder about this because China definitely is coming to the forefront on many, many technologies. In fact, I believe they're far advanced in some things that they're doing right now. Some would, disagree with that, but I've seen a lot of things that we don't have that they have, and it's kind of crazy, mind-blowing, really. Now, when you talk about just military type equipment and military training, and our guys have state-of-the-art equipment that China may not have. What we might have compared to what they have in numbers, it's kind of like that swarm mentality of warfare, where you've got a million as opposed to like a trained army that has high levels of technology and equipment. And like I said, China is very close in catching up on some of those types of technologies. They can still outnumber us and or sucker punch us, right? And they have a lot more military personnel. Okay, so you got that swarm tech, and they've got some really crazy, it's kind of like the whole idea of drone warfare. Like, we're so big about big bombs and, dropping these hypersonics or whatever. But now they've got swarm technology and drones, where you'll just have drones that are being guided by AI. And, they're hard to detect, they're hard to shoot down. They fly very low where they're under radar. And then all of a sudden they pop up on your front doorstep and bam, you're dead, and it's surgical, and it's, it's AI, it's driven by AI and satellite. Now we have, I think the America has an edge because we have that Starlink system, right? We have the Starlink satellite system. So I think that we do have an edge on that front. And maybe we are the power that will dominate the globe for a period of time. And I've talked a lot about this prophetically, but I do think that we're going to have repercussions in some way. And this is why I think they're preparing the homeland right now for, disruptions. And you're seeing protests right now, but that has nothing to do with what's going on around the world. But there's a big movement to try to impeach Trump again. I don't know if you heard this, but they're saying that this is a really big movement. And what that could cause is a huge amount of division, because that is really an indication of the great divide within American politics, which could literally lead to civil unrest and what many have called civil war. Now, I know that sounds really like a term you wouldn't want to use when you're talking about American people and the American politics, that we're supposedly a nation that is united. That's why they call us the United States. But has it gotten that bad that you've got that kind of division where a house divided against itself cannot stand? Is that where we're at? And is America really divided that bad? And I think it is. When I look at some of the things that are going on both on left and right, and I'm not a left person and I'm not a right person, okay? Just so you know, I'm kind of, I would say, political atheist, or a political atheist, if you will. I'm not really into the politic thing. I do like to analyze what's happening in the world geopolitically with a biblical viewpoint, and try to give my ideas of what I think is coming, and maybe a little heads up at certain points. But we've been pretty accurate on things too, haven't we? Haven't we called a lot of things before they've happened? I mean, and in the armchair analyst that I am, I would say I pray about a lot of things too, because I want to figure things out. So here's some new protests in Tehran. It says reportedly from tonight, according to the text in the video. These are pretty large protests. Let's just look at this really quick. This is according to so that does look pretty large. I mean, that does look like a large protest. And you don't do that kind of thing in Iran. You don't do that kind of thing in Iran, especially if it's anti-government. You know why? Because you die. You get taken, they'll take you away. And so this is pretty bold for large groups of people feeling a little more protection in numbers, that they're willing to go out and do this type of protesting. Just saying. You don't protest like that in Iran. Now, especially if it's getting to the point where it's threatening the government. Now, I would say the same thing would happen in America. I mean, if there was protests that were unfolding where that was threatening the stability of the U.S. government, don't you think that they would probably do something very harsh? I mean, you already saw kind of the ICE agents out there, the way they're handling some of these protesters. Now, I know some of those protesters are trying to, and they are working with, they're kind of professional provocateurs. They understand how to protest because they've been trained to do it, and they might be affiliated with some groups that are trying to destabilize, whether they're affiliated with communist organizations. That is happening in America. I will admit that that's going on. But you don't want to mix up real protesters that are just airing and venting their frustrations or their thoughts and lump them all into some big, event that we're having to take care of, regular Americans that are just vocalizing their, First Amendment, and they're getting out there to share their thoughts, and you're going to lump them in with terrorists, because that's kind of what the footing is now. The whole ICE operation now is based on these groups being affiliated with terrorism. And so they have this is why they're very aggressive and very harsh in the way they're dealing with things. Now, I think they're doing that because they know these people are coming across as if they're, that they're just just an average protester out there, trying to look calm and block, they're doing like little passive aggressive moves, And I have a feeling that what happened with that woman and her getting shot, it might have been some kind of a passive aggressive thing that was going on there. And these agents knew that they were doing something in coordination. That's kind of the feel I got from it. But, still, it was still in the gray zone there. And that's why it's caused such huge amounts of division in the country. But those are just my thoughts on what I think. And that's, like I said, I'm not left or right. I'm just telling you what I see. And when I say I'm not left or right, I'm just saying in the politics of things. Obviously, I'm very conservative in my views, and I'm very biblical. You would say religious. I don't like the term religiousness, because I just like to look at it as a relationship with what is ultimate truth, right? Just living in a good way that is connected to what you know to be true, right? And there is ultimate truth, and you can find it right there in your Bible. And so when I get in that, and that may sound like preaching, but it is preaching, because I do talk about scriptures, and I do get into the depths of what it teaches. The morality, the spirituality, the history. It's a very interesting topic to get into. So I would encourage you, if you're not a person that really does study your Bible, to do it, because it is relevant. It's not just an archaic document, even though if it was just that, it would still be interesting to look into. But it is relevant for time and eternity. It is a timeless document, and as it says, the Word is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The Word of God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And who is the Word? Jesus, right? It actually says that. Jesus, the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the Word that was made flesh. He was the Word that brought all things into existence, right? There you go. There's my little sermonette right there in the middle of all the news. But it goes on to say, Iran is secretly releases Greek-managed oil tanker St. Nicholas after seizing it in 2024. And I'm not sure why they would release that oil tanker. Maybe they just want to try to play good and get sympathy from the rest of the world. That's interesting that they're doing it now. Maybe they're having a come to Jesus moment, Senior Israeli officials believe Iran's request for negotiations with the U.S. is a deception aimed to prevent a U.S. attack on the country. And that's kind of what I was saying, that it's a possibility that that's what that is right there. But then again, maybe they are trying, I think that after they saw what the U.S. did in its deceptive tactics, because I know Trump knew that they were about to be decapitated. They had gone over the 60-day limit, and Trump played along like he was going to have a negotiation with them, and they let down their guard, and they were decapitated by Israel. Israel came in the back door and just took off all their heads. And so do you think that they trust America? No. Do you think they're trying to do a little deception here? Possibly. I would probably almost bet on it. Are they going to attack American interests and go down with the ship and bring all of Iran down with it? I think there's a possibility they could do that. And they do have hypersonics. I wouldn't doubt that they might not even have nuclear warheads. You know why I say that? Because they don't have to make nuclear warheads, or they don't have to make a bomb. If you remember, Trump got very upset at a statement that Putin made. This was probably like 5 or 6 months ago. Putin had said something about nuclear warheads being delivered to Iran by other nations. Other nations could deliver a nuclear warhead to Iran. He made that statement, and Trump got very angry and started posting on all of his social media about how Putin used the N-word. We don't use the N-word, and he was really emphatic about how this was just, just can't believe he would have gone there. He would have said that. And the reason Trump got upset about that was because Putin was making a veiled threat. He was saying, hey, it's very simple for any nation that has nuclear technology to give a tactical nuke to Iran to put it on one of their, missile platforms. And if it is a hypersonic, then that tactical nuke is going to get past Iron Dome. It's going to get past Patriot systems, and it ain't going to be stopped because those things are so fast. I mean, you're talking like 10 times the speed of sound, up to 20. They can go anywhere from 10 to 20 times the speed of sound. And I don't know what that equals in miles per hour, but I heard it's like 15 to 20,000 miles. Isn't it something like that? I don't know. I think the sound of speed, the speed of sound is what, 1,000? What is the sound of speed? I don't even know. But I'm guessing you guys know. Let me look at your comments. Do you guys know what the sound of the speed of sound is? Anybody? Love from Macedonia. Hey, what's up? I want to look at some of your comments there. Josh, good to see you. Keith, Minister. Hey, we're gonna try to get some more mods, by the way, here real soon. As we grow, as we get more people showing up, we're gonna try to recruit from the people that we know to get into helping with the modding, the moderation, and so I might be having a meeting or two here pretty soon on on Zoom. And I'm probably going to be getting into the people that we already kind of know, and you know who you are. If you're regulars, you might be reached out to see if you want to do some kind of moderation. And, because we have been growing, we obviously are getting more trolls. You've been noticing some of the trolls lately, but we definitely want to get you guys connected with what we're doing. So the speed of sound is 767 miles per hour, right? Okay, that's pretty fast. Someone else said 737. It's pretty close. You guys are close. 767 or 737. That's still very close. Yeah, we're gonna get a Zoom, Elizabeth, going, and we'll try to get some people together and help out as we continue to grow. Our base here is definitely growing. Lots of trolls will come out of the woodwork when you start to have more people show up, and we've always been aware of that. So we always try to, and they, trolls are just what they are. They're going to make things up. They're going to attack you. They're going to try to stir up trouble in the chat room. And we want to make sure our chat rooms are civil, are loving, reflect the spirit of the channel. I don't care if you have a disagreement. I don't mind people disagreeing. I just don't want you to become disagreeable and start fights, right? We don't want bitterness and hatred and just a bunch of distractions in the chat room. The distractions in the chat room can bring about a bunch of drama, and you end up missing everything that's being said or what's being shown on the screen. We don't want people to miss what's happening. And I know most people that watch don't even look at the chat anyway, but there are a good percentage of people that do look at the chat. So we got to make sure that, and by the way, if you're watching this in the archives, make sure you comment in the comment section below. Tell me if you think that we're about to hit Iran. Make some comments, thumbs up the video, and share this feed wherever you can. You can mod for $15 an hour. That's great. All right. Anybody want to help pay these mods? You send huge donations, and we'll start paying out the mods. Because we got a lot of moderators to get involved here. At least a few. And help us out, because we're sending out text alerts too. That's how we grew our channel. If you don't remember our channel from the past, we had 35,000 plus text alert applicants. I guess they opted in. They saw our channel. They wanted to be alerted. So we have a list, 35,000. Now we can't text all those people because it's expensive. But we could if we had the money to do it. But when you text 35,000 people, it's a lot. With the way it was before, it was about $600 every time we push the button. But we grew our channel from 1,000 to 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. And this was during the time when everything was being censored. We were still growing, and shadow ban. They were shadow banning people. They were censoring our channels. They hit a channel. We'd go to a new channel and we'd just text everybody, and everybody would know exactly where we were at. And we'd get 5,000 or 10,000 people watching, right, on a brand new channel. We didn't have to go. They didn't lose us. They knew exactly where to find us. That's why we made the app. We know things are going to hit the fan, and we're preempting what we know is bad, troubling times. So just make sure you're connected to us on every level. Get connected to all of our social media in a redundant way so you can at least get some of the notifications. If you don't get any, you want to at least get one. Redundancy is always important. We talk about preps and how you have to have, and you know, and there's a friend of mine that told me this, and he'll know who he is. He said, and I always think this is a very good idea, or the way it's put. It's basically, when you prep, you should always be ready to have a backup, and I think backups are so important. Don't want to open up a can of worms there, but always having a backup is definitely important. And it's called redundancy, right? Make sure you have a redundant plan. Plan A, plan B, plan C. And this is all about, especially if you live in a city, be ready, because things can happen. Lights can go out, hacks could happen. By the way, I was watching that Day Zero series on Netflix. Well, I didn't go to Netflix. I just found it, and I was looking at it because it was connected to that logo. Remember that logo I was telling you about that Trump brought in when he initiated that national AI, I don't know, it was in 2021. I forgot the name of it, but he had a logo that had a neural type network, right, around the eagle. In that series, they used the same exact logo. That's very weird. And Robert De Niro is the lead in that. He plays the one who takes over the presidency, and he ends up getting all this power, and then he starts doing all these draconian crackdowns and unwarranted, they basically go into emergency powers, and they lock everything down. And so what happens is the whole country goes into this cyber attacks where they shut everything off, like everything's shut off, and then they turn it back on, and they say, this will happen again, right? Everybody gets these messages like, what? So, and nobody can figure out how it happened. The government doesn't know, and they're in a state of emergency, and they're getting ready. They believe it's Russia, right? They're blaming Russia. So these types of scenarios are very real, and if they do, they can attack critical infrastructure. They can attack communications. They could do these things, and in fact, if you don't remember me talking to that AT&T guy who used to watch our channel, I don't know if he still does. He probably does. I can still get a hold of him. But when all those things happened with the AT&T, remember when AT&T and all the cell phones went down for a period of time, and it happened like 3 or 4 times in the matter of like 2 or 3 months? He told me some stuff that was going on behind the scenes that was chilling. He's a high level guy. Is my shirt okay? He's a higher level guy in the AT&T field, and he wanted to reach out and tell me what was really going on. I wasn't supposed to share too much, but he told me what was happening behind the scenes, and it was, and actually he called in. Some of you guys might remember when he made a phone call, and I took it on the air, and people were listening while it was happening. The actual attack, he said it was a cyber attack, and he was explaining play by play what was happening behind the scenes while he was at work. He was at work telling us what was going on with the servers. And he had access to all that because he was a high-level manager. Anyways, I was sitting there thinking, my gosh, is this happening to our communication systems? He said there's a lot of weird things going on. And I'll just tell you that. That's all I'll tell you. But all those videos went viral. People were sharing them all over the place because people were like, wow, did you hear that guy on Robert's show talking about that? And I just happened to open up the phone lines and said, hey, does anybody want to call in? And he's like, or no, I saw him in the chat talking about it. And I said, hey, do you want to call in and talk about this? And he goes, yeah, sure. So I gave him my number, he called me, I gave him the number, and I posted it. And then everybody was sharing everywhere. Remember that? Okay. So that, to me, from what I understood just from that conversation, is that we're very vulnerable. Whether it's our communications, whether it's our power grid, whether it's, water. I mean, you're talking about everything's connected to electricity. And anything at any time could go down. And where is it coming from? Would we ever really know? I mean, you got to think about things like that, because when your power goes down, you have to understand it's going to affect power plants that are pumping water into your home, your gas, everything. Electricity is going to go out. Your internet's going to go out. Your cell phone services are going to go down, your cell towers, because a lot of times they're powered by electricity. They have redundant, generators, but those generators only last for a short little time. And once they go out, they're out. That's it. You get no more signal. And I've noticed that when we've had power outages, our signals go down, not only our cell phones, but our internet goes down at the same time. They both go down at the same time. And I don't know why, but they're connected somehow. So that's happened to us twice. Okay, so listen to this. Okay, we got something else here. And by the way, Tangible Hope, God bless. Thank you very much. Tangible Hope, another member. Come on, get on the membership bandwagon. So he sent 5 memberships. That's great. Amazing. So we got 5 new members because of Tangible Hope. There you go, weighing the pain. And this is random too, by the way. So it just randomly picks people and gives out memberships. So now you guys are a member of the BP News Channel. You got the green. Dub Red, Sid for Brains, Wildflower, Kim A. You are all new members of the BP News Channel. Congratulations. And thank you, Tangible Hope, for doing that. We appreciate you. Everybody tell Tangible thank you. Awesome. Okay, so here's another update here, guys. Look at this update. I just saw this pop up here. It says here, U.S. officials told New York Times that an American strike would be aimed at sending a message to Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini about killing protesters and not intended to lead to a direct overthrow of the government. Is that even true? Can we even believe that? Or is it disinformation in order to do a decapitation? I mean, we wouldn't even know if that's even legit. And I don't think they do either. I mean, we can only trust what Trump says, but what Trump says and what what does changes on a dime. They call him the 180. You know that, right? What he says and then what he does is always different. And he even says it himself. You never know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. What do you think? So nobody knows. You're going to trust somebody in a time of war. Oh, they're going to tell me the truth. Now, that's what the Iranians did the first time. And guess what? They lost all their high-level officials in one fell swoop because they trusted that Trump was dealing with them on a level that was above board there. And they weren't prepared for the strike. And that's what it was intended. That was the whole reason for why they had that overture. And they reached out to them. Okay, well, let's just have a little meeting, guys. Sure. Everything's fine. All the while, the Israelis are coming in behind to decapitate them because they're not in their bunkers. Now, if that wouldn't have happened with Trump's proposed meeting, they would have been outside. They would have been in their bunkers because they were expecting imminent war. And right now, I think they've learned their lesson from the past, and I don't think they're going to be leaving themselves wide open like they did last time. Oh, well, Trump says he doesn't really want to harm our government. Oh, okay. Well, maybe we'll stick around. Maybe we'll just kind of hang out here. No, I think that they're going to try to take every one of these leaders out. I don't doubt that. So, U.S. officials told New York Times that an American strike would be aimed at sending a message. Just sending a message. This is just sending a message. We're not trying to regime change you. We're not trying to overthrow your government. Because that sounds contrary to what they've been saying previous. They were talking about freedom and a new leader. That's changing government. When you're trying to install new leadership, that means you're changing government. But this is what they said. Sending a message to Iranian Supreme Leader. Just a message. That's all it is. It's going to be just a message. It's not going to be a decapitation. We're not going to try to harm you. We're not going to try to kill you. Because, Trump said last time, well, we could have killed you. Remember that? When Trump told the Ayatollah, oh, we knew where he was at. We could have killed him, but we didn't. So here he is sending a message. We're just going to send a message about, this is the message. It's about killing protesters. That's all it is. It's just a message about killing protesters. That's all we're going to do. We're just going to tell you, don't kill protesters. And it's not intended to lead to a direct overthrow of your government. Do you think the Ayatollah really believes that? I'm just going to say that to me, it just sounds kind of out there, but. Okay, so it says the Pentagon presented President Trump with a wide range of strike options. Let's pull that up here real quick. A wide range of strike options, huh? All right, this is our Telegram page here. Get my face on there too. All right, there we go. So it says here that the Pentagon has presented President Trump with a wide range of strike options for Iran than previously reported. Targets could even include nuclear sites and ballistic missile bases and factories. The most likely options remain cyber attacks or military strikes against the Iranian domestic security apparatus, that is, suppressing protesters, according to New York Times. I have a feeling it's going to be something much more than that. Let's see what the Mossad people are saying over here at Amir's site. What are the Mossad people saying here? Let's just see. The Pentagon presents a wider range of attack. They're all saying the same thing, right? Because you know why? Everybody looks at everybody else's feeds, and everybody knows who's getting fed stuff from their governments or from their intel community or their military, and they follow certain channels that have this information because they're leaking it on purpose to get a certain message out. So anytime you get this information, wherever it's coming from Russian channels, Iranian channels, Israel channels, you always got to look at it. What's the real purpose and reason for why they're releasing this info? Because you're not seeing it anywhere else, but it's always accurate, or it's always, kind of with a purpose. It's being given with a purpose. You got to try to figure out what it's actually trying to do and what actually the real agenda is. It says, let's see, a few hours ago, he was presented with various attack options. So, yeah, that's true. This right here is Tehran a short time ago. Let's see. I think we showed that, didn't we? That was the same footage that we showed. And there's some terrible footage here that I can't show you guys. It's probably a lot of dead bodies and stuff. I don't want to get into that because nobody wants to see that. Now, if you want to see what's going on, obviously sometimes it's important to see what's happening to be able to verify that it is literally going on. I mean, it's kind of like when somebody dies, you want to identify the body. You kind of have to look at stuff like that sometimes for a reason. But that's kind of where we're at. All right, so let's see what else we got here. This was all within the last 4 hours. France has a non-essential staff is told to leave. Iran, this is happening across the board with most all the different consulates and embassies. Some in the U.S. doubt that Iran is genuine about ending its nuclear program, telling Trump that Tehran may be finding a way to buy time. And isn't that what I said? I said I think they might be trying to bide some time here by doing this. Let's see. Top Iranian officials have threatened to attack U.S. troops if Washington strikes Iran. U.S. officials say it's likely rhetoric for now, but still credible concern. This is according to Washington Post. Yeah, that's interesting. That's 4 hours ago. Some officials say that Trump may strike first and then seek serious talks with Tehran afterward. Trump currently favors attacking Iran. Wall Street Journal 5 hours ago. Some senior administration aides, led by Vice President Vance, are urging Trump to try diplomacy before retaliating against Iran for killing protesters. Yeah, and that's what I had heard too. J.D. Vance is against regime change, but this could be good cop, bad cop. Now, this could also be to just help try to tone down and keep them maybe in a vulnerable state where they might not know what to think. And Trump may have already issued a decapitation order, and possibly a military option is already being planned and on the way. That could actually be happening right this very moment. A lot of people are saying it could be happening at any time, but they're kind of giving that illusion that they're gonna, maybe we can, they're kind of making it feel like it's not going to happen right away. But that's the time when you might want to think it's going to happen, because when they say, have you ever heard that saying? This is the art of war. When you're strong, act weak, and when you're weak, act strong. That's why I always say, I think Trump, he always acts strong. I wonder if he's kind of weak, but he's trying to make up for it with the bravado. Because a lot of times people like to hear that boisterous kind of threats, and you're doing it your way, and you're gonna make it happen, and everybody's gonna follow you and talk. It's a golden age, like everybody's rich. You guys just don't believe what you're feeling in your pocketbook, because obviously you're just not getting the picture here. This is a golden age of booming economy, even though it doesn't seem like it. But see, people will sit there and go, am I crazy? Maybe I am crazy. Trump's actually saying all this. It's got to be true. Everybody seems normal. I mean, like, even though, gold and silver are shooting through the roof, which is a pretty good indicator that our dollar is crashing. Have you seen the price of gold and silver? I mean, silver went up, what was it, $86 last time I looked, and then gold was up to $4,600 an ounce. I always told people, you're going to want to go into those metals instead of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is so speculative, and it's in the ether anyway. You know what I mean? Can you even trust Bitcoin? I mean, literally, when they shut the power off, are you going to be able to get your Bitcoin? You're going to be able to eat it? Yeah, you can't eat gold or silver either, but people will still barter with it, possibly for a little while. But until they start getting really hungry, then they don't want it. They want food. That's why I tell people, make sure you have food. Make sure you have food, because when everything does shut down for long periods of time, people are going to wonder, where's the food? But you can't eat Bitcoin. And you might not be able to pull it out of your wallet, because you need internet for that. Look at what's going on with the Iranians. The internet is out. How are they getting their Bitcoin out? How are they buying groceries? They don't. I got a lot of Bitcoin. Got $1 million in Bitcoin. Well, can you get some of that Bitcoin out so we can go buy some food? Nope. The internet's out. Don't know how to get it out. It ain't gonna work. Bitcoin is Bitcoin available in Iran? I don't know. Is it? It's available everywhere, isn't it? As long as you got internet access. I have no idea. They have to have the outlets to be able to cash it in. I know. But if you're a traveler, I mean, if you're a person that's going to travel, you can go and get it. You know what I mean? What was I going to look up? I was going to look something up here. Oh, the price of silver. Let me look at the price of silver really quick. So the price of silver is at $84, and the price of gold is at $4,590, almost 91. That's pretty significant increase. That is a pretty significant increase, if you ask me. And it does fluctuate here and there, but still. All right, so we have Saudi Arabia discovers 7.8 million ounces of gold across 4 sites. Really? Gold, huh? Gold in them there hills, they found. 7.8 million ounces? Really? That's a lot of gold. And yeah, if you're going to take Bitcoin, you're basically supporting your digital prison anyway. You're helping to build the infrastructure and get rich while you're doing it. But hey, you know what? A lot of people, a lot of these hospitals, they got rich during COVID by putting people on ventilators. You know, the more people they could get on a ventilator, the more money they made. And then if they died, they even made more money. You know, they put them on the protocol, they made money, and the doctors made money when they issued vaccines. Everyone's making money. But does that really help anything? I mean, really, aren't you just killing everybody while you're making money? Yeah. Big Pharma, they don't want you healthy. They don't want you to eat right. They don't want you to do natural remedy, because it's better just to put a Band-Aid on it, so you got to keep coming back, because you're never going to heal the disease. You're never going to heal the sickness. They'd rather have you sick, because that's where the money is. So yeah, Bitcoin is basically building you're digging your own grave, ultimately. You might in the short term make some money, but long term, you're basically digging your digital grave, and possibly even your physical grave, because you know what? The robots want to kill us all. Don't they? Do the AI robots, are they going to kill us all, like Skynet or like Terminator? Seriously, do you really trust an AI, especially if it's in a robotic form and it's walking around? I am your friend. And they probably will talk just like you. I mean, they've got robots now that actually look like humans, that they have like their own kind of skin, and they move really fluidly, and they look like humans. And now that they can talk like humans, I mean, seriously, guys, who knows? I mean, I even think Elon might be Elon might even, doesn't Elon look like some kind of cyborg? Maybe he experimented on himself. Maybe that's why he's doing what he's doing. Who else looks like that? Zuckerberg. I mean, look at Zuckerberg. He looks like Data. I mean, have you ever seen Zuckerberg? And have you ever seen Data from Star Trek? Zuckerberg and Data. Star Trek. Tell me they don't look the same. Tell me they don't look alike. I mean, look. Does that not look like... Does Data doesn't he look just like Zuckerberg? I mean, seriously. Look. Do they not look the same? My name is Data. Actually, it's Zuckerberg. You just don't know. I have a chip in my brain from Elon. Elon put this chip in my brain, and now I'm a cyborg. Data. He's Data. He's a data man. It's all about the AI and about the metaverse. Get lost in your Google glasses. Now they don't even need Google glasses anymore. They're just going to put a chip. Oh, did you see? Yeah, Elon had a glitch. Did you see that? Okay, so is Elon? I mean, Candace Owen even said she thinks that he's probably some kind of cyborg or something. She thinks he might have a chip in his brain, if he's alien or something. She doesn't even know. But there was a conversation that Elon had.
Watch Elon.
And he was like, I don't know if it was like some kind of chip glitch, like the chips were glitching in his brain. You know, like he was like, did somebody like send an EMP and it messed up his chip or what? Or maybe it's one of those Chinese chips. So the chips went bad and it's got a back door in it. He's been hacked. Maybe China hacked Elon Musk's brain. This is it right here. You want to see it? look at this. You tell me that this don't look. Oops, sorry about that. Where is this? Oh, come on. Why am I not able to get this over here? Going the wrong. Oh, here we go. Okay, I was going the wrong way. All right, so just take a look at this interview. Take a look at this interview, and you tell me if it doesn't look like Elon has some kind of chip in his brain. He's got a chip in the brain.
Watch Elon Musk completely glitch for a minute and a half when he was asked the very basic, simple question, why do we need X? Why is it important that we're connected on your platform?
And why is that important, Elon? Collective consciousness, to have one platform.
I guess, why is that important? I guess it's, you can also say like why, you know, if you consider humans are composed of around 30 to 40 trillion cells. And, you know, there's trillions of synapses in your mind. But there's no, the why of it, I mean, I guess it's just so we can increase our understanding, increase our understanding of the universe. So I guess I had this sort of question about what's the meaning of life, you know, like why is anything important?
What does it matter? What does it mean? Nothing really matters. Nothing really matters. It's like that Queen song. What does it all mean? What's the meaning of life? I'm not sure. My brain's not working right now. So yeah, it was total glitch. And the guy was like, uh-huh. Did you see how the guy was like looking at him like, okay, whatever, Elon. Elon is a strange dude, though. If you've ever just watched Elon, like in a social setting, he is so awkward, He's got, you know, they say he's got, what do they call it, Asperger's? They say that makes you really smart, but it also makes you very awkward socially. And maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe it isn't just a chip. Who knows? But we did have a kind of a weird thing happen when we were talking about Elon. How many of you guys remember me talking about Elon last week? And I was talking about how he was going to, you know, he had talked about singularity and how the monkeys knew. This was probably like 5 or 6 months ago. And I was talking about how he could very well be the one that is a part of prophetic end time fulfillments of certain events. And I kind of went into all the details, especially about singularity, right? And his comments on singularity. And then the next morning, not even 10 hours later, he posted on his X, singularity has arrived. It was like, wow. I just went into a deep dive on that whole topic of Elon talking about singularity, and he posts that singularity has arrived. I kind of was wondering, like, I wonder if he was watching us. And I don't think he was watching us, but somebody said, well, maybe he did like a AI search on his name, because I'm sure he does that. I'm sure a lot of people do this. They can search AI and it chronicles everything that's being said online, and they can pull it up if they type in certain criteria and certain things that they want to look for that are being said. And that includes video, because the AI chronicles everything in real time now, and it's all in databases, everything that's being said. So he could have been like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I think I'll talk about singularity tomorrow." That channel right there that just popped up on my search. What is that? BP News? Oh yeah. I think I'll talk about singularity tomorrow. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you, BP News. You know, back in the day, do you remember when Zuckerberg was going to fight Elon in a UFC? Wasn't he supposed to fight him? Do you remember that? How many of you guys remember that when they were gonna fight? And you know who wimped out? You know who wimped out, don't you? It was Elon, because Zuckerberg is trained. He's good at, you know, fighting. He's trained as a jiu-jitsu guy. And you didn't know that, did you? Did you guys know that? He's a trained jiu-jitsu fighter. Yes, he is. And other than that, let's see. I even think that there was something that was said. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on one second here. On that topic, one last little thing to talk about here before we close it up here. Let's see if I can find it here. You know, I don't know if I have it anymore. Probably not. And let's see. Oh, geez. I think I had that for the members. Hold on one second here. Well, anyways, I guess it's not important. So this is where we're at, guys. I think we're on the brink of seeing a conflict in Iran. And, you know, they were saying that about Venezuela again, round two. They were telling everybody to get out of Venezuela again yesterday, I think it was. And this was like another emergency alert. So I think we could see something going on in Venezuela again as well. Maybe Colombia, maybe Cuba. They're talking about taking over Cuba and installing Marco Rubio as president. Did you see Trump changed Venezuela's president to himself? He's now president of Venezuela. Did you see that? He posted that on Twitter or on Truth Social. So Trump is now president of Venezuela, and Marco Rubio is going to be president of Cuba. And then Greenland is supposed to be taken over, and we're supposed to fight NATO. NATO is going to send in military troops to defend Greenland from Trump. That's no lie. They've already talked about this. Can you believe this? And Putin is like, "Oh, yes, this is exactly what we wanted." And Putin is like, "I wonder if this is real. Is this real life, or is Trump just playing WWE again? Is this just another, you know, head fake, jiu-jitsu, let down my guard, and all of a sudden decapitation?" I think everybody needs to be, you know, who can make war with the beast technology? The technology is there. Did you hear some of the testimonies of the Cuban security, which there was a whole bunch of them that lost their lives? I think it was they said 35, I think, got killed. But there were hundreds of security forces protecting Maduro when the Americans came in, and there was only 20 of them, 20 American soldiers. Supposedly, this testimony is that they went in there and guns were blazing, and there was a guy that said, we didn't know, and this could be just, you know, propaganda too, but they said there were so many shots coming from the Americans at at such a high rate. They were hitting all their targets. People were just falling out. They didn't even have a chance to respond. And then there was some kind of weapon that the Americans used that made their heads feel like they were going to explode. Well, some of them probably did, but their ears started bleeding. Their noses were bleeding. It was some kind of a sound weapon that killed a bunch of people and just incapacitated everyone that was on the wrong side, right? So whatever weapon that was, these soldiers had no chance, snowball's chance in hell from even doing anything. And not one American soldier died. They said, they made it sound like it was like some kind of alien, technology or something that they could not defend against. And then we just went right in there and took them. I don't know how legit that is, but it's an interesting account. Have you seen it? I would say that's pretty interesting if it's true. Because now they're saying everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid the Americans are going to come in. They're not going to be able to do anything. They're not going to be able to withstand the technology, the weapons, and and how they come in stealthily. But who can make war with that technology, right? And by the way, the Iranians have declared a state of emergency as of tonight. So this state of emergency is all over across Iran, and I think they're in anticipation of some kind of an attack. So we should be keeping our ears and our eyes peeled, our ears open, and make sure you got your app running. Make sure your app's always there with the BP News so that when we alert, you know where we're at. And you can just jump right in on the live stream as we go live. And you can find out what's going on. Look at this. I wonder if this is AI. You can never tell now if it's AI or not. I mean, everything is like, is that AI? I don't know. Is that AI? Is that real? We can't even tell if this is real now, but look at this. Check this out. That's amazing, huh? Look at that. That's a stealth bomber, and that's a B-2 bomber there, and then the other one, I'm not sure what that other one is. This is somewhere in the U.S. Where is this? So it says here that, okay, so this was just posted today at 2 o'clock. So it says, U.S. has issued a new alert advising its citizens to leave Iran or shelter in place. It says the protests are creating insecurity or security measure, increased security measures need to be taken. I think we already talked about this. So yeah, that's pretty serious. Everybody needs to get ready and run. There's the Ayatollah running. Look at, there's AI again. AI is everywhere, man. I'm sure that as AI continues on in the next few months, we're not going to know. I think that we're going to have a crisis here just because of AI. And I think they're getting close to what they call AGI, I think it is, AGI. I forget what they call it. And it's where it gets to the point where that it will cause destabilization if the public knew that we reached that pinnacle or that state of technology, that it would literally destabilize society. They won't let us know when they get there. And I think it's compounding and it's increasing its ability to self-replicate and build on its own. This is why they're wanting these AI models and AI learning to take place by opening up all the channels. Like, see, what happened is they gave back everybody their channels for a reason. They want to be able to tap into all this thought. They want to be able to chronicle it and feed the AI so that it knows everything. And so they don't want to limit anybody. They want to make sure everything is out there and that it's crunching all the information. but it learns at such light speed that it's like compounding interest. It keeps going, getting bigger and bigger. Like it multiplies, right? The multiplication factor, the force multiplying factor. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about something that expands so quickly that at a certain point you're multiplying huge numbers, and our minds can't be wrapped around how fast it's happening. And I don't think it's going to be like a year or two. I think it's going to be within months. They're already warning and preparing in the next 6 months for this to happen. And I think it's going to be sooner than that. So I think it's AGI is what they call it. But yeah, so we'll definitely alert you to more stuff as it's happening. So just stay tuned. And I won't doubt that there might not be something else that happens in the next few hours. So stay tuned to BP News, and we will definitely put out those alerts. So stay on the apps, get connected to all of our social media. And in the meantime, God bless, and keep your focus, keep your faith, develop your faith, and act on your faith. Don't keep it under a bushel. Put it out there so everyone can see. If God is really for you, then who can be against you, right? Get out there and share it. Share the message. It's a message of liberty. It's a message of truth. It's a message of true renaissance. If you want to talk about the renaissance of in a political sense, you're talking about a spiritual regeneration. You're talking about a transformation, not just changing your thought process or turning over a new leaf. You're talking about a transformation that only comes by the hand of God himself. Let God do his work in your life and submit to him in every way, and put him on the pedestal. Don't put anybody else on a pedestal except for him. And you'll see he'll direct your steps. He'll open doors. He'll bless you. Keep connected to what we're doing. We also have a BP Ministries channel where we talk about these topics in depth, and make sure you're there as well, connected with instant notifications. We always alert people when we go live over there too. So that's usually sometime in the morning or afternoon if you want to be connected to that conversation. And I would encourage a lot of you out here that are listening to be connected to us on that level. It's a deep level. It's a very spiritual level, and God speaks to everybody if you'll just listen. Okay? God bless you, and I'll talk to you guys soon. We love you all, and we're out. Amen.